Hi. If you're interviewing for product management positions at FANG companies, uh, one of the most commonly asked interview question is of metric change type. So metric change problem. So problems like imagine that you're a product manager of YouTube and your YouTube traffic drops by 15%. What will you do? This is not only a good interview question, this is also a good real life problem that product managers at FANG companies or any company of that scale, which are data driven, they deal with that. So, in this video, I will help you understand how to kind of break down this problem and solve that in real life and also solve that in your interview setting in a very short time. So, before we move on, little bit about me. I'm a very experienced product manager with 10 plus years of experience in product management. Currently a product manager at Facebook, now called Meta. Started my PM career at Microsoft, was there for a long time. I also had some startup experience, leading cloud product for a late stage startup, and I also tried building my own startup, which did not go very well. In some subsequent video, I can talk more about those startup experience, how that startup experience helped me in my current product management career at FANG company. And short answer is it helps a lot. Before product management, like many of you, I also transitioned from other roles like software engineer. I was an IT consultant, IT program manager, and so on. Uh, and if you subscribe to my channel, at some point in future, I'll also talk about how to transition from these roles into product management. Education wise, I'm an engineer and MBA. Frankly speaking, these education are great, but none of them are must have for a product manager. And I can talk about that also in the future. But coming back to the topic for today, for metric change, if let's say YouTube traffic drops by 15%, what would you do? So let's say this is interview setting, and interviewer asks you this question. One thing you should always ask yourself: what is the interviewer looking for? And this is a good strategy to keep in mind for answering any kinds of question. Try to understand what signals interviewer is trying to get about you so that you can structure your answer. You can make sure that you give explicit signal, positive signal on those fronts to the interviewer so that they can keep good notes around that. So, what do they look for? First of all, they see that do you jump to the solution or you first take some time to understand the problem very well. And I'll go into like how do you understand the problem in a very structured fashion. This is very very important, especially for product managers, that you don't jump to solution. One of the saying in product management field is you should fall in love with the problem, not with the solution. So you should really understand the problem very well and define the problem very well. Second is, do you have a methodical and structured way to solve the problem? You're not just going about diagnosing or solving problem in a very random way. At times you might get lucky and come up with a perfect idea or a great solution, but then you don't get hired for being lucky. You get hired for having a very methodical, structured way to solve a problem, keep the team along with you, and convince everybody around you to go with the action plan that you're recommending. And that kind of related skill is your communication skill. All this requires a great communication skill where you can keep the audience engaged, you can keep people with you, you can explain your thought process very clearly. Okay, so I talked about structure. Interview looks for the structured way to solve the problem. And honestly, in real life also, you should have a proper structure to solve these kind of complicated problems. So what structure? One structure that I recommend is first you understand the problem, and we'll go into what does understanding the problem mean here. Then diagnose the root cause once you understand the problem. And only after you diagnose the root cause, then explore possible solutions to address the root cause. And then finally summarize, because you'll go through a lot of raw data analysis, raw thinking, but how do you step back and summarize? What does it mean? Which is also good for you, your team, and even executive communication. In the interview setting, it will be great if you can tell the interviewer upfront that you'll be following this structure. It leaves good impression. And also, as you go along with these steps, interviewer will know where you are in the process, and they'll also see the big picture that you're following. Okay, so let's dive deeper into this. What does understanding the problem mean? The first thing is you should understand, or you should define the metric. Like when somebody says traffic goes down, what does traffic mean? It could mean anything. It could be new user acquisition, total time watched, number of videos created per user, I don't know, some revenue number, what it is. You should get down to that. And the related point is, what is the time period of this change? Did it happen over time, gradual, or it just happened all of a sudden? Or what period? When we say traffic went down, is like weekly traffic, daily traffic, monthly traffic, over what time? Is it some kind of a usual seasonal drop that happens every year, every quarter, so nothing unexpected, or something very unusual that happened, or something happening over time? The other one to see is scope of change. So, is it happening for a particular geography, region, some kind of device or browser, or some operating system like iPhone or Android? So, get down to more specifics around what is the problem that is happening, or what period it's happening, and is it like a global problem or some isolated local problem? That will help a lot. Understanding this kind of problem will help a lot in your next step, which is how do you diagnose the root cause. And there also, for diagnosing the root cause, you should not just go random. You should have a proper structure so that you don't miss any point, and you go about diagnosing the root cause in a very structured fashion. So first, you should look at internal reasons. By internal reasons, I mean things which could happen within your company. So one possibility is that it could just be a data issue. It may not be a real product problem. Maybe some issue in the logging or data pipeline or reporting. You should definitely fix it. But the good news is that it's not a product problem. So you should work with the engineering to get it fixed. If that's not the case, then you should also see, hey, did we release anything new? Uh, Maybe we released some bug, maybe some new feature that we released that has some different kind of user experience, and the user experience that we thought is good is actually hurting you. So get down to using it. Maybe there's some new button that you release, it has a color that is confusing the user. Maybe something is becoming more obscure on some particular operating system. So the earlier step of knowing the problem scope and understanding what you changed might kind of help you narrow down where the problem might be coming from. It may not be related to your particular product, but in companies which are of scale, like Google, Facebook, Microsoft, your product many times are interdependent on other things. So maybe something happened in a related product team that might be impacting this. So think about those area and find out. Once you have explored all the internal options, think about external reasons that might be causing it. It could be some technology changes or issues, like maybe some changes in the Safari browser that Apple might have made. Something happened in some mobile device. I mean, Android has so many device versions. You may not know what might have happened. Some new iOS version might have been released. Some internet issue might have happened in some region, and maybe the issue happened only in that region for some time. Um, then there could be more serious long-term issues, like maybe new competition is emerging that is changing the consumer preference. So, for example, maybe TikTok videos are becoming more popular than YouTube videos, and that change is happening over time. So, as you think about the problem and the time period, these kind of problems which are like happening because of competition and consumer, they typically don't happen overnight. They happen over a period of time, but they're very worrisome because you need to have good strategy to address them. Um, it could be some events. For example, people were watching more video when they were working from home, but with the COVID restrictions being lifted, maybe people are getting out more and they're watching less video. What can you do about it? Uh, as a product manager, you have to think about strategies for those things as well. It could be some regulations, government policy changes. Maybe YouTube videos are not playing in the way it was being played earlier in some country. Maybe some devices are being banned. Maybe YouTube itself is being banned at some places. So you never know. You have to think about all those things which might be contributing, And once you know the root cause and the possible root causes, go deeper with the data and form some hypothesis around this might be the reason. And that will take you to the last step, which is explore the solutions. So once you know the root cause, you have to explore the solution. Is it just the data issue? If just the data issue, then there's not much to do from the product changes perspective. You just fix the engineering problem which was there. If it was due to a new feature or something that you guys did, then dig deeper. What happened? Is it some UI change that we thought will work better for the users and it's actually hurting them? Something unintentional got released, some bug got released, and then come up with the mitigation options for that. Um, there's sometimes there's no clear answer. Like if it's some UI thing that you might think is helping the user, but things might be counterintuitive. So dig deeper into the data. Is there any some pattern that people who are getting exposed more to the new feature, they're having the issue? You may think about reversing something for some users and doing some experiment and testing. It could be, if it is because of other internal product issue, then you have to coordinate with other teams. If it is some kind of a bug or some changes that they released which is causing it, then you have to have some collaboration, discussion. Sometimes it leads to some hard conversations also with other teams, because their goals might be different from your goal, and together you guys have to figure out what's the right thing to do for the overall good for the company. In some cases, it's a strategic thing that you should have started doing it earlier, but it's never late once you identify the issue. But if it's a bug, then yeah, maybe it's a short-term engineering fix that you have to release. If it is happening because of consumer behavior changes or regulations, these are becoming more like a long-term and serious problem. You have to really figure out a strategy to address that. There's no quick answer that I can give, but that means that you need to figure out a new strategy, and strategy is a topic in itself that we can talk about in some other video. So the point here is that there's no right or wrong answer. Interviewer also will not look for any particular right answer. They'll look for your structure. They'll look for how you logically reason through different kind of root causes and the solutions, and then you come up with a good action plan. And that takes to the last step. In this process, you would have done a lot of raw analysis, raw thinking, but at the end of it, you have to step back and summarize what was the problem, uh, define the problem better. YouTube traffic means this particular metric over this time in this geography or globally. Uh, Based on the evidence that you collected, you diagnose some possible root cause, and then the action plan that you're taking to address that root cause. In some cases, the action plan might be to dig deeper into root cause with some experiment or some strategy creation. So you may not have clear solution all the time, but you need to have clear action plan. And this kind of model also helps when you in real life you have this problem, and your executive and other stakeholders are also asking for, hey, we heard this happened, what really happened? You should have a very crisp report written, some presentation ready that you can easily share. Proactively also you should be communicating around that. So YouTube traffic down was one example, but there are many more flavors of this question. They all are the same type, and you should follow very similar structure there. Here are some examples, but there could be many more. Uber growth slowing 5%, and your execs asked for a report. What would you do? Homepage conversion, we don't even know which product, so that's a conversation you need to have. Homepage conversion dropped by 10%. What would you do? Your email marketing is not working. What does not working mean? What action would you take? Recent product launch in APAC region wasn't very successful. You see, in many of these questions, I have purposefully put them vague, and that's how many times product management problems are presented to you. So you have to first make it specific, define the problem, get down to root cause, and then explore the solutions. So this is the last slide. I hope you found this video helpful. If you like more videos of this kind, more product management help in terms of training and coaching, let me know via comment. I'll be happy to help you. Thank you. Have a good one.